right, there we go.
Hey Facebook, how are you? Welcome to the Money Show with LaShawn Holland. I have with me today my better half. My husband Robert's with me, and
Good evening, everyone.
I asked him to jump on with me at the last minute. See if you can get to where
At
you
the
can actually
last
see.
minute.
Yeah, I did. At the last
At the
minute.
last minute.
See if you can do me a favor, and because I want to be able to see the quotes if people have questions or anything. But welcome again to the Money School with LaShawn Holland. Thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule. I know there are plenty of things that you could be doing right now other than watching my Facebook Live. So I don't take your time for granted, and so I also won't waste your time. So please share this Facebook Live or do a watch party. Invite people on in to do a watch party today if you so want to. I really would appreciate that. But today I was talking to one of my Velocity clients who was actually present yesterday. I had the amazing opportunity to do our Sunday morning service yesterday at our church, and I taught on faith and finances. And I think because
You got this hair on your nose that was driving me crazy.
are you really doing that while we're live?
Yes, it's gone now.
I'm sure no one out there saw that.
They probably would have saw it just when you turn like that. Because it was hanging right off the side of your nose.
Anyway, she was present yesterday when I taught, and this particular person actually has been with me through all of my programs. She started with us when we had launched Financial Revolution, Quick Start. She's gone through the Abundance Attraction Intensive. She's done Money Made Easy Masterclass. She's done Born to Multiply program, and she is now, and she has stayed in her, I call this the following the customer or the client journey. But we were talking because after I finished teaching yesterday, people, I guess they know that she has access to me. And so people started asking her some really off-the-wall questions that had nothing to do with what I taught yesterday at church. Matter of fact, I didn't even mention these particular subject that they were asking her questions about and wanted me to give them free information about. But and so we were just talking about that yesterday, and one of the things I was actually typing, I was responding to an email when we were having this conversation, and she said something that made me stop typing. You ever have those moments where someone says something and you know it's a teachable moment? And so she said something to me, and she says, I feel like Jesus, when his heart was broken because people only came for the free food and not for the freedom.
Wow.
And that was such a powerful statement to me. I actually stopped in my tracks, that was a Selah moment, because I get that a lot where people come and they want $1 million worth of free information, and I'm not even going to get into that right now, but I stopped because I felt like it was a teachable moment for me to teach her and validate what I know to already be true and why it doesn't bother me. And I didn't want it to bother her, in her heart, but that's exactly what a poverty mindset does. And so a poverty mindset, most people don't think they have it, but they do. What a poverty mindset does is it blocks sight, SIGHT. It blocks your ability to see clearly, right? And so you go through life like you have mud on your windshield and you can't see clearly. And so one of the things that I share with her is how it stops you from being able to see opportunity. And so it's the same concept of people wanting you to give them a fish versus wanting you to teach them how to fish.
Yep.
And it's really the same concept. And so if you know how to fish and become your own fisherman, you know how to create abundance of fish to always eat and never be hungry again. And so often, I get this concept. People normally put their money, they buy their wants and they beg their needs.
Right.
And so I actually get this a lot, but people who normally ask me this, they don't understand that this concept of wanting free food versus really wanting freedom.
Yeah.
There's a difference between the two, and most people don't understand how deep a poverty mindset really does go, and how a poverty mindset, it keeps you from raising your head high enough to see opportunity. And so I remember, you can jump in, but I remember a story years ago when we were looking for a different school for my oldest son. When he was in the 3rd grade, he tested on a 10th grade level. And although he had always been in private school, he was always in Christian private schools, and the school that he was in skipped him from the 3rd grade to the 6th grade. And so you can imagine an 8-year-old being in class full of 12-year-old boys, and how difficult that was. And so I saw him to begin to shut down on us socially, and I knew I had to do something for him, do something different. And, we had been praying, and God told me, what you're looking for, you're not going to find inside of the schools that you have them in. Yep. And so I knew, although it wasn't a popular decision at the time, I knew that we had to get him out of those schools. I mean, we had plenty of friends who had their own opinion. We had family members that had their own opinion. I even had an uncle that cussed me out for putting my son in the school that we ended up putting him into. But we went on a tour of the school, and we visited the school. Now, this is a big jump. I had to use my faith for this jump because, the school that he was in, his tuition was $6,000 a year. Yep. The school that we were looking at putting him in, at that time, the tuition was $26,000 a year. And so we're looking at a school where there's a $20,000 jump in the tuition. Plus, I still have 2 other kids that are in school.
That's right, that we got to pay for.
And so I remember going on the tour, and, I loved the campus was amazing. It was beautiful. And there was another lady who was there with her son, too, doing the tour with us. And so at one point during the tour, she asked, how much is the tuition at this school? And so the headmaster of the lower school, who was doing a tour with us at that time, he told her, he said, it's a little over $26,000. And she snatched her son, she grabbed him like this. Remember in The Color Purple where Sophia was marching across the field before she got the Celie, and she was like, you told Harpo to beat me. Remember that? Yes. Listen, guys, she marched across that field looking just like Sophia in The Color Purple. She yoked her son up. She didn't say bye to nobody. Thank you very much. She just left. And instantly I heard God's voice that said, fear not. And so we sat down with the head of the school, headmaster of the lower school at that time. And the first thing that he said out of his mouth to Robert and I was, don't be moved by the cost of the tuition. Yep. He said, get your son here first, and then the tuition money will come. Yep. And so I honestly believe, he doesn't even know it, but I honestly believe that God used that man to talk to us. And so, Robin and I wasn't moved by the tuition. Long story short, all of my kids ended up graduating from independent schools.
Hallelujah, thank you, Jesus.
Debt free. Hallelujah, thank you, Jesus. And so if we would have been moved by the cost of it first, listen, cost does not have a generational value attached to it.
That's good.
Most people are not trained to be able to see the difference between the free food and freedom. Yep. All they see, I say this all the time, people normally come to me because of 1 or 2 reasons, either desperation or motivation. Yep. And when they're very desperate because they feel the pressure of the financial state that they are in, they just want relief. Right. And so those are the ones who can't raise their head high enough. I just need you to give me a painkiller right now. I don't want to hear about all that other stuff. Right. I don't want to learn about mindset. I don't want to learn about all that other stuff. I need you to just give me some money. Can you hook a sister up? Right. Can you hook a brother up? But if I tell you, hey, here's the answer, I need you to go read this book, or I need you to do that, and you don't want to do it, then that just shows me where you are, where your mindset is, and then I have to make a decision of whether I feel like being bothered with you or not. Like, it is very difficult to pull someone along who don't really want to come. It is difficult to be able to mentor someone who only wants a free meal versus freedom.
Yeah.
It's very difficult. And so when I look at value versus cost, I looked up the definition. Value says estimate the monetary worth of something, the regard that something is held to deserve, or held to importance or worth or usefulness of something. And then when I looked at what cost was, meaning the cost of an object or action, it requires payment at a specific sum of money, for something that is acquired right then and there.
Yeah.
And so I'll use, just as an example, what we even do at the Wealthy Leaders Institute as an example. And so when I think about someone who comes just for free food versus freedom, when I look at that, it just reminds me of the difference between with a person with a poverty mindset and a person with a wealthy mindset, or one that has cultivated their mindset to be able to see opportunities and be able to see things from, a macroeconomic view, meaning down, and I get to see globally, versus, a microeconomic view where I just see what's right in front of me. Yeah. I don't have vision. I lack vision. I lack the ability to see what's ahead and to plan accordingly. And so it reminds me of a person, the difference, like I said, between a consumer and a producer, and how the world has trained us really to be managers and not trained us to be masters of our money, just be able to manage money. And there's a difference between someone who is a owner versus someone who is an employee. And so there's a difference between someone with a consumer mindset and someone with a producer mindset. And so a consumer looks at what's spent only and the exchange that occurs at the moment. The transaction happens. They only see what leaves them. They never have their eyes on what they have coming to them. Very different. And so I'm giving you this, and what I'm getting back from you, is immediate.
There's an immediate exchange.
There's an immediate exchange. So the consumer puts money down. I go to the store. I put money down. I buy something. I get my shoes in return, or I get my clothes in return, or I get my food in return, and then it stops there. I get people who ask me for free stuff all the time. And I love giving away free stuff that people can use on their journey. But I also understand the value that they get by being a mentee. And so I understand the value that we've gotten by being on the other side and being someone else's mentee. And so I get people who ask me for free stuff all the time.
Ultimately, free stuff is not going to bring freedom, though.
Yeah.
Free stuff is the equivalent of the free fish.
That's really good. Free stuff doesn't bring freedom.
Right.
And so the value that I'm producing for someone and the transformation that happens in their lives, I already know is 10 times greater than whatever it is the cost of what I provide. And so, for example, it's no secret, I talked about earlier, I have a Velocity Mastermind program that I only offer once a year. I like to keep the group very small and intimate. But again, I have this mastermind program that I only have openings for once a year. And now, I've had a few people that have gone through the program and they've invested in that program and invested the $10,000, but have made over $1 million in revenue. And so the $10,000 investment, the question is, the $10,000 investment, was it really worth you getting $990,000 in return?
Ooh.
That's you having the ability. You smiling because you like when our clients hit that $1 million mark.
I love it.
We love getting those
It's
tests.
evidence that the process works.
It's evidence
when
that
it's
the process,
repeatable.
when it's repeatable.
Yep.
And we've had more than one. We've had more than two. We've had several clients that have done that now. And so people who just look at the cost will walk away and say, okay, I can't do that right now, instead of figuring out how they can make it happen, or it never gets on their radar. But to be able to get in 1 year, and that $990,000 doesn't just stop for 1 year, because now they put the process, they put the structure in place for it to be repeatable.
Yeah.
And so now $1 million in revenue in a year will turn into $10 million in a year, which has the ability to turn into in the future $100 million in a year. And so you get the picture, all for that one investment. And so this is how a producer with a transformed mind they look at life that way.
Yes.
And so if you were, if what you were learning inside of the Wealthy Leaders Institute is transformation on the mindset side and on the business side, when I think about what we do in getting a world-class understanding of how to create a business, how to be able to invest in the market properly, how to fundamentally make money and aligning it with your spiritual vision, and how things like goal setting and aligning things and goals, using the goal setting methodology that we actually teach, and how to create space for prosperity in your life, and having a structure where you didn't have a structure before, and learning what systems and tools you need, being able to work with me personally as a mentor, and having my team really support you on your journey and creating not just revenue rivers, but estate plans and investment plans, and just the whole entire process, and being a part of an amazing community with like-minded people, and being in a community of growth. And so that's worth $100,000, and I know what I teach has the ability to increase you by at least that amount. And so yet we have clients that have made millions off of that investment. And so I know if I can help you make, like $10,000 more a month with what you learn inside of a program, doing that 10 months with us, and afterwards, is that worth $100,000?
I'm doing this because it's like, wow, why would you not? But the answer is yes. I should be nodding my head.
The answer is yes, because when you look at the numbers, learning how to make $10,000 a month or more in over 5 years, that grows to $600,000, $700,000. And so it's easy to see the value, in what we deliver when you look through the lens of a producer. And I wanted to use that as an example, and just not from the eyes of a consumer. Same thing, if your body is filled up with metal, toxins in your body, and you have metal poisoning, and you need the resources, you need the experts in your life, and insurance companies aren't paying for that. But if you need the experts in your life, if something's wrong with you and you have something that your medical doctors can't figure out, and you elect to go see a holistic doctor, most insurance companies don't pay for it. And so listen, if I go to you and you tell me the cost of you doing this is $3,000, $4,000, $5,000, because this happened to me. This actually happened to me personally. And I look at it as, okay, they don't take insurance. All right, thank you. I'm going to stay on the medication. I'm going to stay on this medication than my other doctor, who don't know what's wrong with me, who's guessing, who is more interested in being able to put a Band-Aid on it instead of really helping us solve the issue. But what I know, looking from the eyes of a producer, or looking from, a bigger picture, you're helping me extend my life. Not just put me on medication, but extending my life. And what that means is I'll be able to have impact and influence and spend time with my grandkids. I'm not lethargic all the time, every single day, too tired. I'm not irritable with my husband or with my kids because my body's not feeling well, and I'm aching and I'm in pain. So I'm lashing out at the people around me because of how I'm feeling on the inside. So for a doctor to tell me, hey, I can come and I can relieve all of those issues for you if we just do this. But, here is the exchange that you're going to have to make. And at that moment, I have to see it as an investment in my future life, like creating a lifespan that I want. It can't just be about the cost.
The here and now.
And now. And so many times people they just miss it. They miss that. And so
I think with poverty mentality, sorry to jump back a little bit, but I wanted to share this earlier. You were on a great roll, so I didn't want to disturb you.
I appreciate it.
But I think what happens with a poverty mentality, or what goes along with a poverty mentality, are two things. Number one is a lack of vision, And number two is laziness, right? Because ultimately, as a producer, you pay for the process, right? So when people,
Sorry.
I'm trying to get her to focus, y'all.
I'm sorry. I love shameless plug. I think we have the best tea in the world, and it's the fall. There is nothing like our vanilla chai. The moment it hits your taste buds, they just go, ah! Sorry. Okay, you can go back to what you were talking about.
Now I got to remember where I was going. But the two things that lack when you have a poverty mentality are there's a lack of vision, and then there's laziness, the lack of wanting to work, right? Because the lazy man says, don't teach me the process, don't teach me how to fish, just feed me. The problem with feeding you is if I feed you today, I have to feed you every day after
You
that.
ain't never lied.
If I teach you the process,
Boy, you better teach.
you don't need me. You only need me for a certain period of time until you learn the process, and then you repeat the process wherever you go.
Yeah.
But a lazy man will say, a man or woman who lacks vision will say, just feed me because I'm looking at the here and now. I just want to consume, right? I just need to consume. Give it to me now. Whereas as a producer, you can set yourself up.
That's right.
If you understand and know the process, not only can you eat from the process, but you can continue to plant and eat for years if you learn how to be a producer versus a consumer who just wants to consume. So that lack of vision, right, and the laziness will keep that person saying, give me the free stuff, just feed me and I'll go away. The problem is that person will be right back tomorrow asking for something free because they don't understand the process. And understand, when you pay $10,000 for Velocity, yes, you're buying a community. Yes, you're buying access.
Crystal just said.
Oh, it's worth more. Yeah, we know that. I saw Crystal.
Yeah, Crystal
it's the
just
community
said,
you get. It's,
the community alone is worth the investment, is what Crystal said, and she's honestly telling the truth.
But that $10,000 is an investment to learn the process, right? And Crystal and Lemoyne are the perfect example. They have learned the process, and now the process is repeatable wherever they go. They've learned the process. They can go do anything they want to do now.
Y'all
and
got
be
Rob
successful.
excited because he's yelling in my ear.
I'm yelling in her ear. I'm excited. I'm excited. Well, but when you figure it out, right? Yes. But there has to be a shift because it's easy to ask for something free.
Yeah. Well, I just said that earlier. I said we've been to program to spend our money on whatever we want, but we beg for what we need.
Yep.
And it's the same concept. And so, I look at producers see possibilities.
Yes, they do.
They see possibilities.
As opportunity.
Yes. Yep, they do. And so people stop valuing it, when, for instance, we see this all the time with life insurance.
Yes.
Right?
Yep.
And so my son came home from, my youngest son came home from Penn State this weekend, and he's had a wonderful opportunity of getting on the ground level or something. And so he wanted to talk to his dad and I about it. And Rob was explaining to him about athletes investing in life insurance. And so, and he used the example of a $10 million policy, and what they don't understand, especially youth does this to you,
yes.
the Bible says foolishness is bound in the heart of a child.
Yep.
And so they just want to see instant gratification all the time. So all they see is money leaving them and nothing coming back to them immediately. And so the consumer is looking for something tangible right away.
Right.
In
that exchange. If I give you $10 million, I want something in return.
Yes.
Yep.
And so whereas the producer looks at it from a different set of eyes, the producer looks and says, okay, I can plant this one seed right here in this spot, and I know I can have the ability to reap a continual harvest, not just one seed back. He's not going to get just one seed back from the seed that he plants. If I plant an apple seed, I don't just get an apple that pops up, I get an orchard that pops up. And so people don't understand that.
And you're producing apples for the rest of your life. You have figured out the process.
Your life and the lives.
Generations on.
I think about I grew up on 167 acres of land. And so I think about the pear trees and the apple trees, that my grandfather's father planted.
Yep.
And so my great grandfather ate from those apple trees, pear trees, grapevines, the same trees that I grew up climbing. My great grandfather he climbed those trees. My grandfather's generation climbed those trees.
Amen.
My
Amen.
mother's generation climbed those trees, and I climbed those trees. So off of the seed that was planted, from the one apple seed that was planted, 1, 2, 3, 4, it was 5 apple trees on the property right in front of my grandparents' house. From 5 seeds was able to feed year after year after year 4 generations.
Wow.
That spanned it over 100 years.
Wow.
Like, I want you to see the magnitude of that.
The impact that you can have.
The impact that you can have.
Well, when we think about, look at it in our family, right?
Yeah.
The impact that we've made to break a curse that has been on our family for a long time, not just as it relates to money, but as it relates to marriage and unity in marriage.
Yeah.
That curse is broken,
Right.
and now it transcends generations within the Holland name.
Yes.
So that's the impact that's made, and that's the impact people like Crystal and Lemoyne, who teach those principles, teach that process to their children.
Yes.
Now it passes down through generation.
Crystal said
Yes.
the producer sees compounding interest.
Amen.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And it's not subject to compound interest.
Right, right.
Yep.
Yeah. And so Janet says, I was just rereading Born to Multiply again. A poor man is concerned with price. A wealthy man is concerned with value. Page 42. Thank you, Janet.
She put the page number too.
She put the page number on there. Thank you so much. But a producer understands that a seed needs the process to become a harvest.
Yes.
They understand that the seed needs a process to become a harvest.
They have vision.
They have vision. And so we need to check our hearts to make sure that we're not the ones looking for free food instead of looking for freedom, because free food disappears, but freedom has the ability to last a lifetime and beyond. And so mindset with consumer, we got to train our ears to hear differently. If you want to be able to master your money, if you want to be able to grow millions and beyond, you need to hear with a different set of ears. You need to see with a different set of eyes.
From a position of a consumer.
From a position, and not have from a position of a consumer to a position of a producer.
Yep.
And so with consumer ears, you only hear what can help relieve the pain of financial turmoil temporarily instead of healing the disease of poverty and lack.
Yes.
And there's a difference. Poor money management is only a symptom of a global disease of poverty, lack, and scarcity.
Yep.
And so, I'm the midwife of vision of people who are pregnant with dreams. I know that is my calling. And so it's not just about money. I know I'm way more than just a money coach, right? I take it way past you being able to get out of debt. And so I totally get that I am a midwife of vision to people who are pregnant with dreams. But I also know that when I know how to tell the difference between a market shopper versus a real fisherman.
Yes.
Someone who only wants to go to feed them for a day versus someone who wants to change generations. And so we have to learn to really expand our mindset so we can expand our money. And it's very important for you to understand the difference between you wanting free food and you wanting freedom, because the routes that you take for the two are completely different. You're not on the same road.
Don't ask for the product, ask for the process.
Oh boy, I'm gonna give you
the process.
That one. You may get
I'll gladly
tonight.
take it. Oh, hello. All right, so with that, we out of here.